Revealed. My incredible journey from unpaid worker to a transformative bond with my daughter. Jake gripped the steering wheel of his rusted pickup. The familiar potholes of Main Street, a jarring reminder of how life had shifted beneath his tires. Just weeks ago, he'd managed to hold on to a steady job at the local auto shop. Now, after the company downsizing, he felt like a man drifting at sea, grasping for promises of financial stability. He glanced at Emily in the passenger seat, her earbuds blocking out the world. It was painfully quiet, a stark contrast to their once lively conversations about everything and nothing. In his mind, he confronted the weight of his responsibility as a father, a feeling that grew heavier with every day spent searching for work, every unpaid internship taking him deeper into the tech world's treacherous waters. He parked outside their small house and stared at it, his sanctuary, yet a cage suffocating his hopes. "You'll get through this," he whispered to himself, but his own words felt hollow. The struggle lay not just in finances, but in the emotional distance growing between him and Emily. Anxiety tangled in his gut as he witnessed her retreat from laughter, losing herself in social media feeds that showcased lives richer than theirs. Pressures of high school loomed larger than her mountain of textbooks, a stark reminder of the shame and judgment they faced from their community. Sighing, he sat down with his laptop each night, the glow of the screen illuminating dark circles under his eyes, coding, studying, hustling harder in hopes of a breakthrough. Yet the more he focused on his aspirations, the more he felt himself drifting away from Emily. That thought nagged like a persistent itch. He wrestled with showing strength. Was it fair to project his ambition at the expense of her emotional well-being? Self-doubt consumed him. Maybe he was leading both of them into deeper waters. The exhaustion weighed on him like a stone. After one particularly long night, he shoved his hands through his hair and rested his elbows on the table. Just then Emily approached, her voice trembling with something he hadn't heard in a long time: excitement. "What if we entered a coding competition, Dad? Together?" His heart fluttered in surprise. The way her eyes lit up reminded him of the daughter he once knew. But hesitance clouded his excitement. "Emily," he began, but the spark stayed lit within her. The idea hung in the air like a touch of sunlight. Could this really bring them back together? "Look, we could use this to learn, you know? You're stuck on that screen anyway," she added, the enthusiasm brimming despite the uncertainty in her tone. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Jake found himself leaning closer, caught up in her hopeful plea. They dove into tutorials, a new rhythm emerging between them: laughter, late-night snacks, and late-night coding sessions. But just as they started to gain traction, his past suddenly resurfaced. A rival, once a friend in a bygone era, now stood in the path to their hopes, taunting them with half-hearted congratulations and veiled threats. With each piece of code they wrote, each session of brainstorming, a new tension layered above the excitement, their bond reigniting. Yet at the mercy of external pressures, the stakes for Emily's future began molding each victory into a potential defeat, intensifying their shared stress. Would their rekindled relationship prove strong enough to combat the looming shadows? As the competition date approached, Jake could feel the weight of expectations pressing down. Every moment spent preparing amplified his internal struggle. Were they really ready? Or were they simply chasing a mirage built on a foundation of struggle and heartache? The thought gnawed at him, setting his teeth on edge. They stood on the precipice of something wonderful and terrifying. Would they rise together? Or would they tumble back into the depths of doubt, lost yet again? The looming conclusion left both of them hanging in uncertainty, hearts racing. The competition loomed over Jake like storm clouds threatening to burst. He found himself staring at the blank lines of code on the screen more often than not, its stark emptiness a reflection of his uncertainty. Each keystroke echoed in the silence of their modest home, and with every passing moment, he felt the gravity of expectation press down on him harder. This wasn't just about the code. It was about building a bridge back to Emily, making her believe in more than just the numbers on a screen. "Dad, can we test our app again?" Emily's voice sliced through his thoughts, filled with hope yet tinged with impatience. "Sure, let us see what we can fix today," Jake replied, conjuring a smile that felt foreign yet reassuring. They went through their latest prototype, laughter intertwined with coding errors and creative ideas. For that moment, Jake forgot about his unease, emboldened by Emily's enthusiasm. Yet the shadow of his rival, Marcus, loomed large. The reminder of that recent encounter seared into his mind like an old wound. "You really think you can compete with real talent?" Marcus had scoffed, his voice dripping with condescension. "Good luck with that." With each glance at the clock, a knot of anxiety tightened in Jake's chest. He couldn't let Marcus's words seep into their preparation. Steeling himself, he cornered his thoughts, channeling them into urgency. They had to brainstorm a unique feature, something that would set them apart. What if we integrate a real-time chat feature? Something that allows users to get instant feedback from one another? He suggested, watching Emily's eyes widen in excitement. "Yes, that'll make it so interactive," she exclaimed, the gleam in her eyes reigniting the spark that had dimmed for so long between them. In that moment, as they sat at the kitchen table cluttered with snack wrappers and coding books, Jake realized a hidden competency blossoming within him, his ability to ignite creativity not just in himself, but also in Emily. It wasn't just lines of code, it was life. Each idea they tossed back and forth felt like building blocks for their relationship. But late nights wore on and exhaustion seeped in, blurring the edges of their enthusiasm. Jake caught himself tuning out Emily's excitement as fatigue invaded his mind. His mental state began to question whether this endeavor was enough to salvage their relationship, or merely a distraction from the realities of their situation. The stakes surged. Fear of failure sulked at the corners of his thoughts. "Do you think we can actually win?" he finally asked, unable to keep the doubt from spilling. Emily's eyes softened, a flicker of understanding passing between them. "Dad, it's not about winning. It's about us doing this together." A hint of uncertainty ghosted her hopeful facade. Jake inhaled deeply, wrapping his mind around her words. This wasn't merely a competition. It was a testament to their resilience. He needed to embrace the unknown, let go of the fear clawing at him. As they worked side by side, the rhythm of their teamwork shifted. Each keystroke began to resonate with a promise of transformation. Yet, Marcus's taunt still echoed, a reminder of the looming judgment awaiting them. The closer they got to the competition, the more Jake felt the pressure mounting not just from external expectations, but from within himself. As the day of the competition drew uncomfortably closer, Jake faced not only the challenge of coding, but the deeper task of rebuilding trust with his daughter. Would he rise to meet and bridge the gap of insecurities? Together, could he and Emily flourish, or would the tumult of fear and doubt fracture the fragile bond they were nurturing? The night before the competition, with hearts beating in synchrony, they sat in silence. Jake's mind buzzed with intangible possibilities, swirling like autumn leaves. It was time to confront the past that threatened to engulf him entirely, to break free from the ghost of Marcus and prove not only to him but to himself, that their journey was far from over. Just before he drifted into a restless sleep, one thought pierced through the fog of self-doubt: maybe this was not just a competition. This was a new beginning. Could he truly reinvent himself as a father, just as they were redefining their journey in the tech world? The weight of that realization hung in the air, raw and real. Tomorrow would bring clarity, or it would shatter everything they had worked for. As sleep evaded him, Jake realized one thing clearly. The moment of truth was upon them. Jake awoke the next morning with a start, his heart pounding to the rhythm of impending opportunity and dread. From the moment he opened his eyes, the gravity of the day weighed down on him like thick mud. He was preparing not just for a competition, but for a confrontation with his former self, the version of him that had allowed life's disappointments to dictate his choices. As he brewed the morning coffee, the smell wafting through the air felt like a balm against his racing thoughts. He needed to be grounded, focused. Emily would need him. They both needed to march into this day with clarity, ready to dare the odds stacked against them. "Dad, are you ready?" Emily's voice sliced through the morning haze. It mixed both excitement and uncertainty, and Jake recognized the tremor in her tone. Standing before him, she was a bundle of nerves, bouncing on the balls of her feet like a thoroughbred eager to burst from the gate. "Yeah, we've got this," Jake said, forcing conviction into his voice. He had to be the sturdy anchor for her enthusiasm, even when doubt threatened to overshadow his confidence. They arrived at the competition venue, the buzz of excitement filling the air like static electricity. Jake's pulse quickened. This was not just a room filled with competitors. It was a battleground. And yet, he felt Emily's hand slip into his as they entered, providing a surge of warmth and reassurance amidst the chaos. While they set up their booth, he couldn't shake the feeling of Marcus's presence lingering like a dark cloud. Yet instead of focusing on fear, he chose to channel the energy into their presentation. They were a team. He had to understand that this moment was about more than winning against a rival. It was about reconnecting with his daughter and proving to themselves what they could accomplish together. "Let us run through our pitch one more time," Jake suggested, grateful for an opportunity to remember their shared purpose. They practiced, Emily's enthusiasm momentarily overshadowing his anxiety, as her words dripped with the excitement they had shared during late-night coding sessions. In her eyes, he saw the hope they were both hanging onto tightly. As he looked around the room, Jake gained clarity. He was not merely a participant. He was a father who had embraced vulnerability to forge a stronger bond with his daughter. The realization flooded through him, reframing the entire experience. But then there he was, Marcus, standing tall with a smug smile that irritated Jake to his core. Ready to be disappointed? His rival flashed a condescending grin as if he could see into Jake's depths of fear and doubt. Jake took a deep breath, feeling Emily's hand squeeze his a little tighter. "We're more than ready. We're not just here to compete. We're here to show what we've built together," he replied, surprising even himself with how solid his voice sounded. The pitch began, and with every word, Jake felt a metamorphosis unfolding within him. He no longer felt like a shadow of who he once was, but rather a beacon of resilience. Each explanation of their app, each flick of the screen displaying their hard work, transformed the moment from a competition into a declaration of their collaboration. As he spoke, he glanced at Emily, her eyes sparkling with pride. He realized how much he needed this validation, not from the judges or Marcus, but from his daughter. They were rewriting their story together, revealing facets of themselves they never fully acknowledged before. But as they finished their presentation, he saw doubt creeping into Emily's eyes. The look on her face ignited a new thread of urgency within him. Was their connection enough to weather what was about to come? The moment the judges began to deliberate, the faces around them turned blurry. Jake's mind raced through everything they had accomplished, but uncertainty clawed at the edges of his thoughts. What if it wasn't good enough? What if Marcus was right, and their efforts were ultimately futile? As he wrestled with the growing pit of dread in his stomach, one clear notion reignited the flame of determination. This wasn't about victory. It was about embracing their journey, no matter the outcome. But could he confront the truth of that commitment, regardless of Marcus's looming shadow? The results were about to be announced. Would he stand firm in the face of his own fears? Or would he embrace the deeper implications of this moment for both him and Emily? All he knew was that the stakes had never felt higher. Jake's breath hitched as the announcer's voice cut through the thick anticipation in the air. Each syllable seemed to stretch on forever, wrapping around him like a vice. He glanced at Emily, her face a canvas of hope mingled with tension, reflecting every ounce of the uncertainty gnawing at him. "And the winner is Team Bright Innovations." The words hung in the room, lingering like a magic spell, and at first Jake couldn't process them. He felt the rush of jubilation thumping in his chest, but it was tainted by an unease he couldn't shake. Emily erupted with excitement, her hands flying to cover her mouth in disbelief, while the crowd's applause washed over them. Yet, Jake's mind spiraled in a different direction. Winning felt unreal, like a mirage formed from a desperate yearning, rather than a tangible achievement. Had their hard work truly earned this accolade, or was it simply luck? The validation he craved from Emily seemed overshadowed by the lingering shadows of doubt that thrummed within his core. As they accepted the award, Jake forced a smile, but the moment felt eclipsed. He was aware of Marcus, sporting a look of disbelief and fury across the room. The man who always seemed to overshadow every achievement now bore a fractured mask that Jake concealed with a forced cheer. Was this the moment he'd been hoping for, or one that left him feeling just as hollow as before? "Dad, we did it!" Emily exclaimed, throwing her arms around him, her voice the bright harmonics that pierced through his confusion. "Yes, we did," Jake replied, squeezing her tightly. In that embrace he felt a flash of truth. The weight of the moment began to shift. This journey hadn't been solely about competition. It had illuminated their bond, the laughter shared over lines of code, the late-night discussions threaded with dreams. That revelation sparked a new intensity within him, igniting the horizon of their potential together. Still, as Emily posed for photos with her trophy, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something profound had to shift within him, beyond just this victory. He pondered the notion of success. Was it merely about winning accolades, or was it about carving out a future where he and Emily could truly thrive, free from the chains of past limitations? As the crowd began to thin, Jake's gaze fell to the trophy. It gleamed mockingly under the fluorescent lights, a glittering testament to his ambition. He heard Emily giggle with friends near the exit, the sound both joyous and untainted by his inner tumult. She was moving forward and he needed to as well beyond just this moment. "Let us head out, he called, still holding tight to the trophy. "We've got a lot to discuss and future lessons to learn." In that moment he realized they had only begun to scratch the surface of their potential, both individually and as a team. They would not merely ride on the coattails of one victory. They would build on this triumph. Driving back, a silence enveloped them, but it was pregnant with possibility. Finally, as they turned into their neighborhood, Jake took a deep breath and spoke. "What's next for us? What's the next big project we want to tackle?" Emily tilted her head, an expression of wonder on her face. "I'm not sure, maybe something even bigger?" Her response lit a spark of inspiration. By embracing what lay ahead, Jake felt ready to confront not just external challenges, but the internal narratives that had haunted him for too long. The path stretched ahead, laden with possibilities and hurdles alike, and the weight of uncertainty transformed into an exhilarating challenge. But as they stepped inside, Jake's phone buzzed with a notification, a message from Marcus. "Congrats, you won this round. But the game isn't over." Jake's heart raced, the thrill of victory quickly shadowed by the realization that perhaps the hardest battles were yet to come. Would he navigate the new territory of success while confronting the insecurities that had trailed him? Or would Marcus's taunts prove to be a bigger obstacle than he anticipated? As Jake sat down at the kitchen table, he felt the palpable weight of the trophy still resting in his hands. Emily was animatedly recounting their day to her friends on a video call, her laughter filling the room, momentarily drowning out the noise of his spiraling thoughts. He could sense her joy, a stark contrast to the uncertainty brewing within him. He placed the trophy carefully on the table and focused on the future he had just envisioned, yet a cloud of doubt hovered ominously above. Marcus's message swirled in his mind like a dark specter, each word like an echo from a past he thought he had outgrown. It was easy to dismiss the discomfort Marcus instilled in him through simple phrases, but the deeper truth unsettled his self-confidence. His career felt like a flimsy house of cards, precariously balanced on an uncertain foundation. Shaking off the feeling, he turned his attention to Emily, who now animatedly waved goodbye to her friends. A smile broke through his anxiety when she screamed, "Did you see my trophy? Isn't it amazing?" "It is, Em. You inspired me," Jake replied, attempting to convey earnestness as he watched her gleaming eyes. "Can we make a new app?" she asked, wading into the waters of future projects. "Something even cooler than the last one?" Jake leaned back in his chair, his mind racing with ideas. Emily's excitement reignited his ambition, reframing the constraints infused by Marcus's message into creative energy. But beyond mere application development, he sensed an opportunity to cultivate an environment where both he and Emily could thrive. "Absolutely," he replied. "But I want to hear your ideas first. What do you think we should focus on?" As the two started brainstorming, the vibe shifted from uncertainty to determination. They pitched ideas back and forth, each suggestion from Emily encouraging a more daring proposal from Jake. The thrill of their creative collaboration sparked something new within him, challenging him to expand his vision. Jake found himself lost in their exchange, embracing the idea of growth not just in technology but in their relationship. Each suggestion they developed revealed more about their respective strengths, Emily's natural curiosity and drive thrived in tandem with his seasoned experience. Yet, beneath the excitement loomed the specter of doubt. What if he wasn't able to truly deliver next time? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the room, mirroring his own internal struggles. He had tasted success, yes, but was he truly equipped to follow through with this new project? Could he forge a path that transcended mere winning and morphed into genuine influence and connection? Suddenly, Jake recalled a moment in the competition where meticulous planning made all the difference. Each sleepless night coding alongside Emily had been a testament to their untouched potential together, revealing an indispensable truth. They could break barriers if he embraced both their talents instead of listening to the discouragement clouding his mind. Emily, Jake began, the words hanging between them like a promise, we're not just going to build something amazing. We're going to redefine what success means for us. As her eyes sparkled with newfound inspiration, a wave of determination surged through him. This project would be different. It would embody their story, their struggles, and their triumphs. But amidst the fervor to push forward, the weight of Marcus's taunt loomed larger. Was he truly ready to face the challenges that would come with not only creating but also standing firm against those who wished to see him fail? The question lingered in the air, an invitation for future battles that beckoned for clarity and resolve. Jake turned his gaze back to his cheerful daughter. Together they would navigate this journey, but the shadows of doubt remained, threatening to surface at any moment. Let us meet tomorrow and solidify our plan, he said, the tension within him reframed into purpose. As Emily nodded enthusiastically, her laughter filling the empty spaces once filled. With uncertainty, Jake's mind raced, knowing a storm was brewing just ahead. There had to be a way to transform fear into strength. Jake felt the thrill of the unknown rooting him deeper, even as another message pinged on his phone. This time his pulse quickened not from fear, but from anticipation. The new challenge was incoming, and he was finally ready to face it head-on. But what would that confrontation look like? Would it shatter his newfound resolve or mold it into something indomitable? Only time would tell. Jake's resolve to redefine success set the tone for the next day, propelling him into a flurry of planning and preparation. He woke before dawn, the weight of what lay ahead heavy yet exhilarating. As he brewed his morning coffee, the aroma filled him with a sense of purpose, encouraging him to chase the vision of what he and Emily could create together. He felt lighter, ready to tackle the elements of his self-doubt that had haunted him. The notebook lay open on the table, pages blank but pregnant with potential. Jake reflected on their brainstorming session from the previous evening, how briskly ideas had exchanged hands, igniting both excitement and fear. Ideas weren't enough, execution was where the real challenge resided. Marcus's voice echoed in his mind, reminding him of every time he faltered. What if he faltered again? With a deep breath, Jake began outlining the project. It wasn't just an app. It was a reflection of their journey, their personal growth encapsulated in lines of code. He envisioned features influenced by Emily's young, fresh perspective, empowering both of them to share their ideas in a platform that celebrated curiosity and exploration. As he pinned down thoughts, memories of late-night coding sessions filled his mind, a collage of laughter punctuated by bouts of frustration, moments of triumph intertwined with minor defeats. Those memories began to shine anew, illuminating his talents. He recalled how he once doubted his capacity to act as Emily's equal. The truth was he'd quietly evolved into that partner, and maybe, just maybe, he was ready for this next leap. Once Emily emerged from her sleep, the household transformed into a whirlwind of creative energy. Her eyes shone with excitement upon seeing her father's preparations. "What's all this?" she asked, a grin spreading across her face as she spotted the colorful sketches Jake had made for their app. "I've laid out a plan. I want us to build something that represents what we've learned together, and what we're passionate about," he replied, watching as her curiosity flared. "Oh, I love it," she exclaimed. "Can we have a feature that lets users share their own stories?" Jake felt a rush of pride. "Exactly. Shared experiences can further the connections we want to create." They began reshaping their initial concept into something more profound. Each detail they established became a reflection of Jake's growth, not just as a programmer, but as a father. But as they worked, he couldn't shake off the gnawing anxiety. Every idea triumphantly crafted turned back into that nagging doubt. Would Marcus be watching? Would he gloat in Jake's failures? This project couldn't just be something to showcase their skills. It had to withstand scrutiny and criticism. As the hours passed, Jake's personal landscape transformed. A hopeful focus began building a wall against Marcus's doubts. Brick by brick, consisting of small victories, each component of their project becoming a testament to their collaboration. Then a question emerged from the chaos. What if the fear of failure didn't just serve as an anchor weighing him down, but also as a catalyst for resilience? The clock raced toward noon, and with each tick urgency mounted. They needed to develop a prototype for a local tech meetup in a few weeks. But the weight of that timeline pressed on Jake's chest, threatening to topple the house of cards he had meticulously built. He watched Emily's enthusiasm, an anchor amid the storm brewing in his mind, questions swirling around him. Would they be ready on time? Could they really turn the tide and make a meaningful impact? Let's south head to the park and brainstorm more, Jake suggested, needing a fresh perspective. Nature had a way of clearing the fog, and right now he craved clarity in a world of uncertainty. He wanted to dive deeper into that trust, unlocking the potential between them. As they left, Jake's heart raced with both trepidation and anticipation. He felt as if they were standing on the brink of something great. But the shadows of Marcus's words loomed. Facing the outside world meant confronting not only external challenges, but the specters of his own fears. What would it take for him to break through the restraints of those shadows? A new transformation awaited, one that would not only redefine success for him, but also fortify the bond with his daughter. Would he find his way through the storm and seize the moment? Or would he succumb to the pressing doubts that tightened their grip ever tighter? The answers danced just beyond reach, but a visceral urge propelled him onward into the light. The soft rustle of leaves breathed life into the park's vibrant atmosphere, dissipating some of the tension that had clung to Jake since that morning. He and Emily settled on a weathered bench, the wood warm from the sun's embrace. It was a welcome contrast to the constricted feeling inside him. Let us sketch out ideas, Jake suggested, enthusiasm gathering strength. He produced a smaller notebook filled with recent notes, marked pages and doodles, tokens of their collective brainstorming. It felt good to chart their thoughts together in the wide open space, free from the confines of their home office. Emily pulled out her colored pencils, her eyes dancing with energy. What if we add a feature that lets users vote on the best stories? Kind of like a competition. That could keep people engaged. Jake nodded, impressed. It's a great way to not only encourage sharing, but also celebrate creativity. We could even spotlight a few stories each week. They bounced ideas back and forth, layers unfolding like the petals of a blooming flower. In their collaboration, Jake saw glimpses of himself, the father he aspired to become. Each stroke of Emily's pencil represented not just her ingenuity, but also a new chapter in their relationship. Yet with each suggestion, a counterthought emerged, sharp and barbed. What if no one cared about their app? What if the doubts swirling in his mind materialized into failure? The specter of Marcus's condescension returned, lurking in quiet corners of his thoughts. It was both maddening and motivating. His stomach twisted as he turned to Emily, whose face was radiant with possibility. You know what, Em? What matters most is that we're doing this together. Even if it doesn't go perfectly as planned. Her smile faltered for just a moment, her youthful confidence slightly overshadowed by a flicker of concern. But Dad, what if we put all this work in and nobody likes it? Then we'll learn from it, he replied, his voice steadying as he reminded himself of their shared journey. Each obstacle faced and overcome became a lesson, a platform for greater understanding. Growth isn't just about success. It's also about handling setbacks and building from them. As they continued sketching ideas, Jake felt the crumbling wall in his mind solidify. Each concept they created served as a new brick, reinforcing the positive foundation they were laying. He recognized the shift taking place within himself. He was becoming a mentor, a guide, but also a learner. The synergy between him and Emily began reframing not just their project but their relationship. The sun hung lower in the sky, its warm rays casting long shadows across the grass. They were falling behind schedule, time slipping through their fingers. How is the prototype coming along? Are we going to have something they can touch, something tangible? Uncertainty surfaced as the clock in his mind began ticking louder. We will, Dad, Emily insisted, her earlier enthusiasm fueling his waning confidence. "We just need to stay focused. Let us bring home all these ideas and finalize our initial blueprint." Listening to her earnest conviction, Jake felt a wave of pride and determination bubble within him. That leap he had envisioned earlier was no longer a singular endeavor. It was here, rooted firmly in shared trust and attentive listening. They were allies united in their goals. But as they walked back home, an unsettling thought crept in. They couldn't forget about their upcoming meetup. What if their prototype fell short? What if all this hope they built crumbled upon scrutiny? Jake hugged the notebook close, a mixed feeling of anticipation and dread swirling inside him. The shadows of doubt still lingered, but the vision of what was possible shone brighter. He needed to confront his fears head-on. Digging deeper into the possibilities of their project was no longer just a goal. It was a vital necessity. As they parsed their ideas, another layer of emotional complexity revealed itself. Could he not only embrace the challenges outside, but also the intricate feelings that lay within, the urge to nurture and be nurtured? Tomorrow would bring fresh battlegrounds of uncertainty, and Jake felt the urgency surging through him. He had emerged from a storm, but the true tempest still awaited. Would he muster the courage to face Marcus's haunting expectations? Perhaps the next move required more than just a prototype. It demanded a bold stand against everything he feared. The moment was approaching when he would need to decide: would he stride confidently into the fray, or would he allow his anxieties to hold him hostage? Each unanswered question now rooted itself at the forefront of his mind, creating tension that promised a reckoning soon headed his way. Sleep eluded Jake as he lay awake that night, the specter of tomorrow's confrontation looming larger than his own doubts. He tossed and turned, feeling the cool fabric of the sheets against his skin, yet the heat of anxiety clung to his body. Images flickered through his mind, each one darker than the last: the potential disapproval of Marcus, the familiar smirk that said he was right all along. The weight of expectation hung heavier than ever, a noose tightening around his very desire to succeed. When the dawn finally broke, it offered no reprieve. Instead, a subtle light flooded his room, illuminating the creases on his forehead, evidence of his sleepless night. He had engaged with doubt long enough. Now it was time to confront it. Just as a boxer preparing for a fight studies his opponent, Jake meticulously planned how to present their prototype, boiling down the essence of what he and Emily had created in the kitchen. Emily bounced with a youthful exuberance that almost felt contagious. "Excited?" she asked, her voice like a morning song, lifting his spirits just a notch. "Yeah," he replied, though he felt more like an actor preparing to step out on stage than a father eager to bask in father-daughter synergy. He watched Emily arrange their sketches, each a representation not only of ideas but of their shared ambition. "Remember," Jake stated, adopting a tone of practiced authority, "the feedback today will be tough, and if things don't go as planned, we're in this together. Whatever happens, we focus on how we can improve." "Of course, Dad. But we can't forget the good stuff." She beamed, her optimism a bright candle in the shadowy recesses of his mind. As they rushed to finish the preparations, Jake tried to suppress the gnawing insecurities wafting through him. Tightening his grip on the notebook, he pulled up the prototype in his head: the interface, the user experience, and even the potential feature allowing people to vote on stories. It would shine, it had to shine. But would it? The car's engine purred as they drove to the meeting. Glancing at Emily, he caught her humming along to the radio. Her carefree energy battled against his tightening throat. "You ready?" he asked, forcing a smile that felt like a mask. "I was born ready." She grinned, a spark of determination igniting in her eyes. Just then, as they parked, the rush of the city unfolded around them. Each person darting by was a living reminder of the world waiting for their creation. Inside the office, the atmosphere shifted. The fluorescent lights felt harsh, and the murmurs of colleagues became a distant murmur as his awareness sharpened. They entered the meeting room, and Jake's chest tightened as he noticed Marcus already seated, that smug look firmly in place. The tension in the air thickened, wrapping around him as they set up their presentation. Jake felt each tick of the clock echoing in his ears, amplifying his unease. He could feel Marcus's gaze like a spotlight scrutinizing every move they made, probing for flaws. "We've created something we believe can resonate with users," he started, voice steady but internal turmoil roiling within. He explained their app and the unique features, But as he outlined their concepts, a nagging fear fluttered in his chest. What if they would leap straight into the abyss? He glanced at Emily as she animatedly presented their graphics, her confidence oscillating with purpose. She was pitching not just an idea but their shared dreams, values, and the artistry they had imbued. Her passion shone like a beacon, and for a fleeting moment, Jake's heart soared. Then the questions came, piercing and cynical, from Marcus's lips. What makes you think we need another platform? Isn't this too simplistic? The barrage was relentless, meant to undermine, to sow seeds of doubt. Every word he uttered set Jake's insecurities afire. But as Jake began to answer, something shifted within him. The walls he had erected started to crumble. This was not merely about Marcus. It was about more than just the prototype. It was about their creation, their growth. Each question and critique was an opportunity, a hurdle that could elevate rather than obliterate their ambitions. The simplicity lies in its accessibility, Jake declared, his voice somehow deeper, resonating with an underlying conviction that surprised even him. We're fostering a community where creativity thrives, where stories connect. Emily's eyes lit up and Jake's spine straightened. Here they stood, together, articulating more than just a project. They were forging a connection more profound than he had ever imagined. Yet, even as they answered questions, Marcus's skepticism lingered, doubt woven into his very being. Jake felt the tightness return, but this time accompanied by an unyielding realization. What began as uncertainty could forge resilience. There was a battle ahead, not just against Marcus, but against every fear whispering for him to falter. The true challenge awaited when the meeting ended, and it would determine not just their prototype's fate but the growing bond between him and Emily. The reckoning was just beginning, and Jake sensed he was standing at a precipice. Would he leap or would he retreat? Whatever lay at the bottom of this plunge was yet to be revealed. Jake felt the moment stretch impossibly, suspended in time as Marcus unleashed a new wave of analysis. If your platform is geared towards storytelling, what are the measures in place to ensure the quality of content? Aren't we risking mediocrity? With each probing question, a knot tightened in Jake's gut, but instead of shrinking under the scrutiny, he absorbed the critique like a sponge. This was a chance to refine their vision, not a sentence of failure. Warmth coursed through him as he recalled Emily's words. They needed to remember the good stuff. Realization washed over him. This was a conversation, not a trial. Quality control is essential, Jake responded, each word feeling more confident than the last. We envision a set of community guidelines that empower users to elevate their narratives. Each syllable flowed smoother as he transitioned to the potential for collaborative feedback, inviting the community to help each other grow. For the first time, he noticed the slightest crease in Marcus's expression. Had he caught him off guard? Emily jumped in, her voice a perfect timbre of enthusiasm and certainty. Thousands of stories are shared every day, and we can spotlight the best through our voting mechanism. The community will elevate itself. A flicker of something akin to respect glimmered in Marcus's eyes, but it was fleeting, snuffed out by his immediate rebuttal. Don't you think you're placing too much faith in the masses? Many people lack critical discernment. You risk encouraging mediocrity. Jake considered that. The doubt came creeping back, but he pressed it down. True, but it's also an opportunity to cultivate new talent. We're not just building a platform. We're building a culture of storytelling and improvement. Our users will learn through doing. As the debate intensified, Jake felt a surprising liberation. He had transformed from a passive participant in this discussion into an active contender for his and Emily's vision. They were not merely defending. They were asserting their place in this space. He glanced at Emily. She exuded an infectious passion, buoying his spirits. Despite the confrontation, doubt was morphing into resolve. Each question from Marcus, intended as a knife meant to slice through their confidence, was instead providing Jake with the vital steeling needed to sharpen their proposal. Marcus had hardened under the weight of skepticism, and perhaps Jake had begun to mold resilience through confrontation. Their presentation concluded, leaving an electric tension hanging in the air. Jake sought a deeper understanding of Marcus's critique, but was mindful to allow space for contemplation. The room was rife with possibilities, yet suffocating under Marcus's authority. He wondered how they would navigate these waters in the work ahead. Thank you for your insights. We'll reflect on everything and hopefully address your concerns in our next iteration, he stated, extending an olive branch in the form of open dialogue. As they left the meeting room, the air felt different, lighter. The uncertainty clung less fiercely to him now. Instead of viewing every encounter with Marcus as a stumbling block, it began to resemble a stepping stone. That shift felt monumental. "Honestly, Dad, you were amazing," Emily exclaimed, swinging around to face him, her enthusiasm radiating warmth that melted some of Jake's residual anxiety. His heart swelled at her admiration, igniting a profound sense of interconnectedness with her. "You were incredible too, Em. This is our project, our dream." But beneath the joy, a cluster of unanswered questions churned in Jake's mind. He sensed a deeper discussion was waiting, perhaps regarding not just their prototype but how the feedback would shape his role as a father and mentor. As they exited the building, a shadow of doubt swept through him once again. Would Marcus's skepticism loom over their project like an unshakable ghost? With each step, Jake felt the tension release and a new resolve settle in its place. The next phase would not just test their professional capabilities but the strength of their bond. As they made their way home, a thought flickered in Jake's mind. What if confronting Marcus was just the tip of the iceberg? They had sparked their project, but could confronting Marcus ignite something deeper within Jake, a change in the way he balanced fatherhood and ambition? Jake turned to Emily, uncertainty swirling in his chest. This was merely the beginning. With each passing day, Jake and Emily dived deeper into their project. The brief meeting had fueled their determination, igniting a fire that pushed them forward. They transformed feedback into actionable insights, viewing it less as a threat and more as an opportunity for refinement. Each line of code they wrote reinforced their growing synergy and shared ambition, a synergy that had been dormant for too long. Jake recognized the profound importance of this bond. He was no longer just a father frightened by the uncertainties of failure. He was a mentor guiding his daughter in a shared journey. No longer overshadowed by Marcus's taunts, he saw every interaction as a chance to strengthen their collaborative efforts. Not an obstacle but an enhancement to their resolve. This project was not just an app. It was a restructuring of their lives, a testament to their ability to create and redefine their narrative. As they worked late into the evenings, laughter filled the spaces that had once been charged with silence. Emily began sharing her thoughts more freely, her insights displaying a maturity that astounded Jake. In return, he offered guidance with newfound patience and pride, nurturing her ideas and letting her shine. Their late-night coding sessions transformed into bonding rituals, a rhythmic dance of minds exploring innovation. Weeks passed, each moment a step toward the upcoming tech meetup where they would present their prototype. Jake's vision sharpened. He no longer questioned his capabilities as a programmer or a father. He was learning to trust himself. In the mirror of Emily's enthusiastic eyes, he saw a reflection of his progress, his evolution from self-doubt to confidence. A man ready to claim not just professional recognition, but personal validation. They reached the night before the meetup, a natural crescendo. As the clock ticked ever closer to that moment, Jake found solace in the quiet conversations they shared. "No matter what happens tomorrow, we've created something special," he told Emily, striving to instill comfort in her growing nerves. Together they reviewed their presentation, honing every aspect with a determination that felt fresh yet familiar. They had integrated feedback from their last encounter, each adjustment a symbol of growth. Jake felt a profound assurance wash over him. They had transformed fear into a catalyst for progress. When they awoke on the day of the meetup, Jake looked at Emily and saw not just his daughter but a partner. The morning light proposed endless possibilities, echoing the sentiment that today would be a defining instance in both their lives. As they arrived at the venue, Jake could feel the anticipation thrumming in the air, but this time his heart raced with excitement, not dread. Standing at the front of the room, he began their pitch with confidence resonating from every word. "Good morning, everyone. We're here to share something we've poured our hearts into. An app designed to connect people through storytelling." As he spoke and presented, he felt the weight of past insecurities fade away. Emily complimented him with her youthful energy, detailing the features of their application, the heart of their shared ambitions. Each question from the audience was met with poise, and when Marcus's voice emerged, challenging them yet again, Jake met it head-on. "You're right, Marcus. But our platform encourages growth and engagement within the community. We build not just a tool but a culture. The applause that followed the presentation felt different. It was not merely an applause for victory. It was a recognition of the journey they had shared, an acknowledgement of their transformation from doubt to determination. Jake felt validated not just through their project's success, but through the bond he had fortified with Emily. As they stepped back from the stage, the results sparked a flurry of excitement in the room. They were awarded Most Innovative App. The trophy held weight. Their trophy adorned the table. Yet Jake felt a deeper satisfaction radiating from the experience, the true reward being the shared journey with his daughter. And the days following the event, Jake and Emily laid the groundwork concepts for their next steps. They amalgamated their feedback, planning for future updates of their app. The shadows of Marcus seemed dimmed, retreating into the background as Jake recognized the strength they had unearthed not only in technology but within each other. Standing in the glow of their victories, he knew this was more than a mere achievement. It was a rebirth. In Emily, he saw not just the fleeting phases of childhood, but the blossoming promises of partnership, creativity, and empowerment. As father and daughter, they had conquered not just a coding challenge but transcended the very insecurities that had plagued them both. Jake smiled at Emily, knowing that they together had embarked on a path leading toward countless future possibilities. He had emerged renewed, not just as a father but as a true partner in every sense, a guide who embraced both challenges and triumphs with open arms. This was the moment of transformation, the beginning of many more chapters to come, not only in the world of tech but in the powerful journey of life together. Now, are you ready to create your own story? You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the journey of personal overcoming. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending below. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share and spark hope.